You know, obviously, like I said, there's the Jewish side, is my mom's side, and I didn't really know that side of the family. They didn't speak to my mom after she decided to have a child with my father, or at least her father didn't. I met her, some of her step siblings, aunts and uncles, and then on my father's side, which is most of my extended family that I spent time with growing up, they were from Muskogee, Oklahoma. So even their journey is even more a little bit, interesting, because I'm still trying to piece together the Muskogee, Oklahoma, Black Cherokee and that whole journey as well. So I'm still trying to figure out, those pieces.
Yeah. And I'm glad you mentioned the fact that how your mother's side of the family is white, Jewish, and your father's side of the family is of African descent. And you were very generous with the 20%. We actually find that there's a 35% chance that when we trace the paternal line, father to father to father, it goes back to Europe and not Africa. So we were a little nervous when we sent you the paternal test, because most of the time when we trace the maternal line, it comes back African 92 out of 100. But we were very happy that in your case, your paternal ancestor was a Cameroonian man, present day Cameroonian man from the Tikar people.
That's right.
If I'm correct.
That's right.
And it fits so perfectly because we know the Tikar to be the artists and the artisans of the community. And so it was absolutely no surprise that that would be part of your family story. But what did you think when you got the results? Like, had you heard of Cameroon? Had you ever heard of
I'm very familiar with Cameroon. I had not heard of the Tikar tribe. I had not heard of them, and then I went to do more research on them to find that they had migrated from the northeast of Africa into Cameroon, and that also fits some puzzle pieces. I know, we live in a time where you have many Black Americans trying to figure out, that story arc of the lost tribes of Israel and the individuals who were pushed out of Northeast Africa and who those tribes were, and understanding the relationship between those tribes and West African tribes, and how the slave trade started, and who were the first people who were enslaved, and why, and just all of those missing pieces. There's so many different stories of that journey, and trying to put that story together, which is not an easy one to put together, because it's one that, as we see today, it's not one that people want to teach about. It's not one that was, well documented. So, and many people want to lie about it. So I think some of that journey is also important for people as they go and find out who their, African lineage is tied to, and learn more about them.
What do you say to people who say that African ancestry is a scam, that we don't come from Africa, that we're part of the original people who were here in the U.S.? What do you say to that? Why do you?
I think that's, I think like anything else, I think that's, an effort for individuals to, and I get it, they don't want to be tied to enslaved peoples, right? Because of what, the trauma and horror that's, that is in those journeys. But I also think people don't understand time, and history in general, and how many things happen in cycles of centuries and hundreds of years, and the evolution of people. And there were Africans that traveled to the United States long before Christopher Columbus, and those stories began. And Africans that traveled the globe long before any of these more modern Western versions of history have been taught. So for there to be intermixing long before Europeans arrived in, what is now known as America, the Americas, is highly possible and plausible. So I don't think there's anything wrong with learning that journey as well, because there were dark complected, kinky curly hair, indigenous tribes that populated the East Coast of North America. And that is a fact, but that doesn't take away from even those individuals having potentially African heritage in their blood. Prior to their arrival here on this continent. So I just think that Black folks specifically don't want to be